Hello everyone and welcome to Thrill Peak episode 5, where today we're going to be starting a whole new area in the park, including building a nice new roller coaster. But to start off the episode, we're finishing off the western area, the Dynamite Desert to be specific. We're finishing off the log flume just by making the station and sort of the final touches to the area. So this episode is going to be the start of a whole new area, and I'm really excited to show you how it all turned out because it is looking really nice. Now the area isn't fully finished at all, you know, this is the first episode of it and I'll repeat this later, but I think I've made quite a good start and the area should come together a lot more when I add some more rides and attractions, etc. So you can see me finishing off the area here with that tree in place, and you know, now I'm just sorting out the pathways for this area, so I'm trying to figure out what looks best, and I think I just decided sticking with, it's not the asphalt path, it's sort of one with like squares on it. You can kind of see it there. Okay, not anymore. You can see me putting in the archway now. So this is gonna house the sign for the ride. And the name that I picked for this ride was Cowboy's Cabin. Thank you to who suggested that name. I'll put the comment on screen now. Yeah, Cowboy's Cabin. I just added a log flume at the end so it's clear for anyone walking around the park. And then just a little sign there. Okay, now comes the new area. And this area is going to be called the Disaster Zone. And you'll kind of see why. So this area is kind of going to be themed to like a load of natural disasters because, you know, it's quite a unique theme, it's quite nice. And I'm starting off with what looks like a sort of arrow suspended coaster, but actually I'm just using this to try and mimic a Vekoma STC. If you don't know what that is, that's essentially Vekoma's new take on their SLC model. They've only built one so far, as I'm aware of, but I am thinking they're going to be building more very soon. Now, they sort of follow a very different layout to B&M inverts. They're more sort of twisting than inversion focused. So you can see I've done like a straight drop and then some turns into a nice little 0G roll. And that 0G roll actually goes over the pathway into this area, which I think looks really nice. I kind of took some inspiration there from Chessington. So they are making the sort of World of Jumanji and a whole new B&M wing coaster there. And the inversion is going to go over the entrance to that area, which I think is going to look really cool. And that's somewhat what I try to incorporate here. Anyway, you can see the second and final inversion of the ride going in there, just smoothing it out as I go to make sure everything looks fine. And I actually don't do this very often, but I end up changing the layout of this ride. So I made it go into a helix sort of now, which is pretty nice. And then I went into a few little airtime hills, and I think it looked fine, you know, it was great. I rode it, but then after riding it a few times, it was kind of just like, yeah, this ride is a bit too short, and by a bit I mean quite a lot. So you can see the cut there. I've also changed the colour of the ride. This is going to be the final colour of the ride. I will need a name for this coaster. So this isn't going to be like a free-for-all name-picking one, however, this time. I'd like it to be somewhat themed, nice one. Themed to sort of tornadoes, hurricane, some sort of name along those lines. And you'll see why, as you know, it's a very twisting, turning layout. It also goes through a building, and you're going to see me put that in very soon. It's also going to interact with some other rides in the area once they go in. That doesn't happen in this episode, but yeah, no, you will see in the coming up episodes that this will interact with other coasters. You can see I'm just looking at the shaping there, making sure everything flows nicely. You will see the POV at the end of this episode once all of the sort of building theming has gone in and all that nice stuff. Obviously I haven't done a station for this ride yet, but you know, I will be doing that very soon. Maybe not next episode, but you know, we'll see. It could be. So this is the building that the ride's going to go through. Now, this sort of themed area I'm going to go over it in a bit more detail now. It's sort of themed to this area that was like a normal neighborhood in a way, but since all these natural disasters have come, it's very, destructed. There's going to be, you'll see this be built later, there's going to be like some earthquakes almost being put in. This whole area is basically just everything's being thrown at it. You're going to see me put a ride in later called Tsunami. You're going to see, another ride to put in today called the Meteor. Everything is coming at this village. I feel kind of bad. Like, this poor town, it's just like a nice normal town and it's been ravaged by everything. No, but that's the theme of it. I mean, the UK likes to kind of go quite dark on their themes, and that is where this park is set. Smiler, very dark, Twisted Experiment style. You got Swarm, which is probably the most similar area to this in the UK at least. Sort of a town, not town, but sort of ravaged by the sort of alien monster things that the Swarm is. However, this is more of like natural disasters instead of sort of weird, sort of cyber almost things. No, this is very natural, tsunamis, earthquakes, hurricanes, or tornadoes, or whatever you want to call them, meteors, just everything's coming at this village. As I said, I feel a little bit bad, but, it is what it is. You can see that building sort of coming together. This building I later named to be the town hall. It's, just like the central building of the area. And, of course, the hurricane goes through it, just adding to the bad luck of this this village. But, it is what it is. It will have to do. You can see me just adding up the concrete walls. So there isn't actually any, like, theming in this building. Because, to be honest, you go through it in, like, half a second. So there's not really much point. There's not much that will be able to, catch your eye in that time. So you kind of just dive through a concrete building. It gives a good near miss, and I think, that just adds to the ride, adds to the first drop or whatever. But yeah, and you can see now I'm making the entrance sign for this area, Disaster Zone. This would be a bit weird. This is the only bit I find, like, a little bit weird, If this was a sort of village, they probably wouldn't have this sort of signposting their village. They probably wouldn't have it called the Disaster Zone. But, it's a theme park. It needs to have a name and an entrance to the sort of zone. Now, you can see me starting off the earthquakes now. You can see they're sort of branching off of each other, sort of entangling the whole area. And the paths actually bridge over all of this. It starts to look really nice already, and we haven't even got the other coasters in. Now, the next coaster I'm building, I'm not going to give it away fully, but it is very inspired by Tripsdrill, which is a park that has the only STC at this current time, and the whole area just looks kind of really nice. I'm not going to try and pronounce the name of the STC there, because it's got a quite strange name. It's like no, I'm not doing it. I'm not pronouncing that name, but it's Tripsdrill looks like a really, really good park. Hope to visit it one day. And this area is quite inspired by it. Not by the theme, but how the sort of rides and things are going to work. And you'll see how that all turns out in the next few episodes. Yeah, so you can see me doing the pathways, as I said, bridging over all the earthquakes, looking really, really nice. And yeah, you can see it branching around. So that sort of branch that I just did with the path, that's going to lead to the drop tower and probably the station of the next coaster I'm going to build. Oh yeah, I forgot I did this. I actually triggered it so that 2 little flamethrowers burst out as it goes past. It looks really nice. I mean, if this was in real life, especially in the UK at least, these effects would never work, but it is what it is. They're there. It's Planet Coaster, so we don't have to worry about that, They're always going to go off when the coaster goes past, and I think that's really nice. Can you imagine just walking through and these 2 bursts of fire come up? That just looks, I feel like that would be really, really cool. Really hype you up to go into this area. So you can see I'm making a sort of crater. This is because this is the ride that's going to be called the Meteor. and that's because it's basically like a drop tower, so you're coming down to Earth, crashing, you know. It makes sense to be called the Meteor. I think that's a nice name for it. Obviously, I still need the name for the coaster, but the flat rides in this area, at least, I am naming myself, just because, you know, it very is dependent on sort of the scenery I put around it. You know, I've just put it in a crater, I can't call it, you know, Tsunami or whatever. I don't know, because it's not going to be called Tsunami anyway, because the next thing that's going in is called Tsunami. So I was originally thinking of doing like a sort of family ride, like a disco. I ended up going with, I think it's called a KMG Afterburner, kind of like Vortex at Thorpe Park. But this one has some little water effects. It actually looks really, really nice. I mean, you know, Tsunami fits with the natural disaster scene once again. You know, it's looking good. I'm really hoping you enjoy the POV of this coaster. Okay, there we go. I do hope you enjoyed that POV. Remember to leave the name down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a great rest of your day, and goodbye.